Vehicle and asset finance from ABSA. Going the extra mile to get you financed.
The fifth round of the ABSA Off-Road Championship at the Tough Sun City 400 continues, and with only 190 kilometers to go to the line, Krobler and Moore and their Sasol Nissan Navara were still firmly in control, leading by 5 minutes.
And completely in control. Force had from nowhere moved into ninth.
And he and Pitchford weren't quite finished yet.
Woolridge and Schultheimer clocked the second fastest time for the first loop behind a flying Force, and were also going like a Boeing.
While the Mecca and Excel boys almost had the misfire under control, but not quite listening to them.
Eating their dust, it was the Harpers who were battling exactly the same problem. A major misfire that affected their power very heavily. Still, they soldiered on.
Tollefson and Evans were acquitting themselves very well and were up from their 5th place and into 3rd in the SP class.
In the specials, it was a frustrated Hutchinson and Bergman in their Motorite Bat who were leading a hot-running Borioa and Rousseau in their Total Motorsport Porter, who were only 4 minutes behind after starting off 18th place overall. It was a superb charge.
Cronje and Birkin were mindful of punctures, and just after this, they did indeed suffer one, which slowed their momentum terribly.
Whitehouse and Carlson had their entire fan club out on the route, and they certainly did their thing to get the region boys going even faster.
Not that they were going slowly in the first place, Rold.
The Silvolds only managed to get their growling beast back on its feet and were piling on the speed and the pressure again.
However, they were going along, believe it or not, without a clutch.
But the Total lads had now really started racing. Variawa and Rousseau up into the lead and seemingly breaking the land speed record on their way to the finish line.
Matthews and Smith had slotted into 2nd and were on their way to covering the 2nd loop in the 2nd fastest time of the day for the A-class vehicles.
Marsh and Groeneveld next head into our viewfinders, up from 10th place and pushing themselves in their region racing back to the limit.
And probably beyond. Still sounding and looking good.
Indeed, the Rubicon bat bearing number P4 was in the skilled hands of David White, with younger brother Gary calling out the route. They finally wrested control of the class battle from the other contenders.
Ford boys Ferguson and West inching their way up the SP batting order with a nicely timed drive on Loop 2.
Jan Kraai and his nav Tito Voigt had battled flat tires all the way round, but were just ahead in the Class B war.
With the Class D battle gamely continuing between the brothers Matten in the Ryobi Nissan and Weichelt and Els in their Toyota.
Yeah, but no one, and we mean no one, could keep pace with these guys. Force and Pitchford started 53rd overall, Arnie, but despite a puncture, took 11th place eventually. Can you believe that?
A bullocking, barnstorming, no-holds-barred drive.
Weichelt and Els in the N1 4x4 were superb and were in the lead in Class D by almost 6 minutes while they were overtaking close to the finish line.
Stubbs just behind him was also still going along with aplomb. And Visser at Badenhorst continued on gamely, even though the Castrol Toyota was battling, and it was tough in the trenches for them.
George Barkhuizen and stand-in Oki Ferry had a very useful second loop and finished 7th in the SB class. A super drive under very tough conditions.
But up front, it looked as if it would be a wire-to-wire win for Grobler and Moore. They were in the zone, and it showed.
Now, even though they narrowed the gap somewhat, Woolridge and Schultheimer were now more than 5 minutes in arrears and had to settle for second place.
Still, it was a fun drive from the Ford men.
The De Bruins, Hugo and Jaap were ultra consistent and deserved their third place, but they were 10 minutes back.
And in the specials, the Harpers, Nick and Ryan, were giving it their all, but the misfire slowed them at a crucial time in their charge.
Tollefson and Evans in the third Sasol Nissan Navara produced a fine drive to take fourth in 6 hours and 35 minutes.
While Whitehouse and Carlson were still going well here, but were excluded due to a racing indiscretion.
The performance of the Sun City 400 in a special class was, without doubt, this duo. Shamir Variawa and Siegfried Rousseau. They had a superbly timed drive and took the lead when it was crucial, on the last lap, and then went away.
With Matthews and Smith just 2 minutes and 1 second behind them, it wasn't over until the line was crossed, and it was still down the road.
Collie and Quinton managed to roll their bat Spec 4 again, but they were still there and going along in fourth place.
And in Class P, the Whites had taken the bull by the horns and were on their way to the line at Sun City to take the class victory.
With Martian Groenewald up into 5th place after a storming drive from 20th overall.
And in the number 21 SP car, it was Fords Ferguson and West who were on their way to taking her home in 6th place. A fine performance from them.
The defending champion Force, who had 3 wins out of 4 early season, had to settle for 5th and again clocked the fastest time.
While Bertolt and Vermeulen took 6th in the specials, despite this mud water shower, which cooled some race notes down as well. It's one way to clean the car.
Looks like a lot of fun. Ruacon's Barkhuizen and Farid tested the Hilux's clutch to the limit.
And also stretched spectators' nerves to the limit as they slowly inched their way through this lot.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about here. With Weichelt and Els cementing their Class D win in the N1 4x4 Toyota.
And they were 6 minutes and 24 seconds ahead of Henry and Maurice Matten in their Ryobi Nissan.
And the Staffix boys certainly got it into the lead in Class B to stay and fixed it so that it wouldn't give up. Stubbs and De Wit grabbing the silverware in their class.
With a 3.5-minute gap over Kraai and Voigt.
And third in Class D went to the Delmas pairing of husband and wife, Ramon and Moret Bezuidenhout.
And in Class E, it was the Potch Plastics boys of Dewald van Breda and Johan de Tooy in their Toyota Hilux who brought her home with almost 3 minutes to spare.
And then back in Class P, Nick Goslar and Richard Carolyn were almost an hour behind in second in their 2008 Zarco model.
Back at Sun City, though, it was a go-to-well win for the three-time champion Hannes Grobler and co-driver Joan Moore in the Nissan.
The bubbly was well deserved with this fine wire-to-wire win in what must be seen as a return to form for the 52-year-old.
It was unbelievable. It was nice to be back, nice to be in a winning streak. It wasn't easy. I think the biggest thing today was to keep out of trouble, miss all the rocks and whatever, as I said. We had a few heart-stopping moments. We had a car that was going into the stage and we nearly hit it in the side. And then 20 kilometers from the end, we had one of the specials that was sitting in a ditch, and we couldn't get through. So we stopped there for about just a minute or a little bit more. And yeah, we were worried that we didn't know how far the other guys were behind us. But at the end, it was John did a great job. It's a very good organized event, this, and the marking was very good. Yeah, and I think it was one of the best ones, and it's always nice to win.
And if anyone knows how to do that well, it's the Burley Grobler and a trusty Nissan in his hands. Foss and Pitchford rescued things with a brilliant fifth, while the Ford lads kept their championship hopes alive as well.
And in the specials, the second consecutive win for Variawa and Rousseau in the distinct Total Motorsport Porter, with its 7 litres of grunt, of which they used every ounce out there.
The lads had certainly got used to it. It's like anything else, actually. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Yeah, it worked out well for us. Yesterday in the prologue, we didn't do so good, and we thought, well, you know what, let's go out and give it our best. We went out in the first loop, just conserving the car, consistent. And when we got into the second loop, we thought to ourselves, you know what, let's just put the pedal down and see what happens. And about 30-40 k's out, we lost the power steering pump, so we had to drive the car without power steering. And we didn't actually know we were in front. We thought maybe second or third, you know, according to time. And I guess luck worked out. Luck is on our side this time.
A fine victory for Variawa, and one that gets him right back in the hunt for the 2008 National Championship crown, while the Harpers also did their cause in that regard no harm at all.
Talking championship, Foss had his advantage cut and now only leads by 8 points in the production car class.
And in the specials, the Silvolts only have a slender 2-point lead over Variawa and Rousseau. It's all to race for with only 3 chances left. Until next time, you keep it on the road.
We'll keep it off-road.
That was the ultimate test, the ABSA Off-Road Championship.